The Shark Deck.
Hello and welcome to Palace Intrigue. I am your host, Mark Francis. Will Harry and Meghan move to a private island? To channel our inner John Oliver, the answer is obviously no, but it's a news story making the rounds, so let's take a look. In this scenario, Harry and Meghan would keep an LA home while living on this private island. This all originates from a celebrity gossip website called Heat, whose source said, "The situation is rapidly becoming uncomfortable to the point of untenable. There's money to be made abroad and it fits their vision of global success." Harry loved the idea of living in a neutral and eco-friendly environment. He's pushing hard to go down the private island route. Yahoo points out that it is not unheard of celebrities to own islands. They cite Beyoncé and Jay-Z, George and Amal Clooney, and Julia Roberts as just some of the A-listers who count private islands as a part of their real estate portfolio. One unanswered question is, what kind of schools are there for children on a private island? Royal author Christopher Anderson commented on the children now using royal titles. Charles has been dragging his feet on this one for 6 months now, and frankly, it did seem quite possible the titles might never be forthcoming if it were left entirely up to the palace. The largely faceless courtiers who run the monarchy, Diana used to call them the men in grey, were clearly taken by surprise and none too happy that they were placed in the awkward position of having to update the royal website, and quickly. To put all this in context, it is worth noting that Princess Anne, the king's sister, refrained from giving her 2 children titles. Similarly, the king's brother, Prince Edward, made the decision not to give his 2 children the HRH status. It was obviously more important to Harry and Meghan that Archie and Lilibet get the full treatment, which seems highly ironic, since the Sussexes are no longer working royals, live half a world away, and spend a great deal of time lobbing grenades over palace walls. Like any parents, they want to see their children get what they feel is rightfully theirs, but they are still resentful for having been sidelined as lesser royals, and that goes double for their kids. As for the coronation, Anderson said, "They've been invited, of course, but now it's more up in the air than ever. The truth is, Charles may be quite upset that the Sussexes seem to have taken matters into their own hands once again. I'm sure William is not pleased, and all that just adds fuel to the simmering resentments between the 2 camps." Royal author Ingrid Seward believes Harry and Meghan will come to the coronation, telling Newsweek, "I've always had the impression that they would come to the coronation because they need the royal stardust. Charles may not be happy for them to be there, but I don't think he would tell them not to come. His advisors would say this is going to give us so much fodder to the media." However, Harry may be feeling about the betrayal and family angst. It would just be them demonstrating maturity and that they are above the pettiness coming from Charles and William. Newsweek's Jack Royston also believes Harry and Meghan kind of have to go. The kind of symbolism of not going feels a little bit like giving up on the relationship with the royals. It feels like just kind of admitting defeat and that the rift will never heal. You know, if you don't go back to Britain to see your family for the coronation, then what do you go back for? What is going to be bigger than this? Palace Intrigue will be right back.
Hey, it's Jordan Ross Myers, the man behind Twitter's notorious Lee Radswell and Don Gunvalson. I'm inviting you to join me every week for the Pretty Corrupt podcast. Along with my co-host, reality casting director Stacey Noel Connor, and disgraced entertainment TV producer Nate Safer, we deconstruct pop culture's past, present, and future and probe the dark crevices of Hollywood, taking you inside the scandals, feuds, rises, and falls of society's rich and infamous. Alongside interviews with our celebrity friends and special guest hosts, everything is fair game on the Pretty Corrupt podcast. Every Tuesday on all streaming platforms and at storicmedia.com.
On the other side of the coronation, the royal calendar looks quite empty. We can tell you when we started this podcast, we felt there were some likely events to come in the next decade after launch. After all, Prince Philip and Queen Elizabeth were both in their 90s. Then Megxit happened, and Oprah, and the $25 million podcast, and Netflix, and then Spare. But looking ahead, what storylines might populate season 22 of The Crown? Newsweek points out the next biggest royal event to take place is unlikely to be until Prince William and Kate Middleton's eldest son, Prince George, marries, unless Charles' reign should end before then. Newsweek Jack Royston observes, but George is still, an elementary school-age kid, which circles back to the notion of Harry and Meghan attending the coronation. As Royston points out, who is going to have an event of a scale that will actually bring Harry and Meghan back? They might come back to see friends, but that's not the same as seeing family members. That's the thing about the royal family, is that you really do have to make a deliberate effort to see somebody. You have to get it in the calendar or it won't happen. So, going to the coronation, I guess, is keeping hope alive. In the meantime, while an extended run of weddings and funerals and jubilees and coronations may be ending, and with it the era of the big royal displays that the Brits do so well, we here at Palace Intrigue are quite confident that Harry and Meghan will continue to give everyone something to talk about in between the media stories of how wonderful Kate is. And there you have it. If you want to email us, our address is thepalaceintrigue@gmail.com. Please follow us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Podcasts, and now on YouTube Music, or wherever you get your favorite shows. I'm Mark Francis. My thanks to John McDermott. This is Palace Intrigue. Good times.
Did you know you can name a cockroach after your ex-lover and have it fed to the animals at the zoo? Hi, I'm Johnny Mack with 5 Good News Stories. It's a podcast twice a week where I tell you 5 good news stories, 5 fluffy stories. I just want to make you smile to start your day. I can tell you about a cat and a rabbit that fell in love, or I can tell you how porta potties are about to be a lot less horrible. What kind of show is this? It's called 5 Good News Stories. The number 5 Good News Stories. Follow it, Apple, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you get your shows. 5 Good News Stories.